Tally Stuckle and Rachel Blackmore, Racing's golden duo!
Tiger Roll joins the greats and beats Magic of Light.
Best behaviour on the near side with the wettest of saves for Barry Brown and Oliver McKiernan. Local trainer Derek comes in again and beyond his test. Lord Lyon wins it from...
It's Samco on the stand side before he had the second round. Fahey lands in the lead by half a length and goes on from Samco.
Hello and welcome to a special Cheltenham episode of We're Going Chasing. I'm joined here by Craig from Rein It In to go through the Novice Hurdles at Cheltenham. So tonight we're going to be looking at the Supreme Novice Hurdle, the Ballymore Novice Hurdle, the Alpert Bartlett and the Triumph Hurdle as well is going to be caught in on that. So Craig, nice to meet you. How are you?
Yeah, cheers, Kenny. Thanks for inviting us on, mate.
Yeah, we actually had Craig on here earlier in the week, but the technology failed us and it somehow didn't record. I'll take the blame for that one anyway, but nice for Craig to come back on again.
I'll do it all over again, no problem.
Thanks a lot to come back on again and to give up your time. But I suppose we'll just get straight into it, I suppose, here on the Tuesday with the Supreme. So Facile Vega 130, Marine Nationale 4-1, Elite Tomps 5-1, Impera Pass 7s, Lucia 12s, Timurus 12s, and then 14s bar on that. So what's your initial thoughts on that, Craig?
Yeah, I mean, Facile Vega last time out, obviously just completely blew up with the frantic pace up top at the DRF. I think the big question is going to be how much it's taken out of him, how fit he's going to be from Cheltenham. Willie Mullins doesn't seem too concerned, but for me, looking at it from an anti-post market, I would be a little bit concerned at how quickly he did empty in that home straight. I think for me personally, from what I've seen so far, Elite Tomps is probably the one to take forward in this race. I thought he won the race on merit, kicked well clear of, I think was it In the Pocket and Dark Raven, in second and third behind it. So obviously the staying horses were there and thereabouts at the end, but you've got to remember last season he was running obviously in the juvenile division where you had Vauban, Phil Dorr, Pied Piper, HMSC Horse, and he was always running against those type of caliber of horses, and he was only beaten by 5 of those horses all season. So he wasn't running against anyone poor. It looks like he's improved, and I think at the prices, he's probably one that I would be siding with. I thought he ran well in defeat to Facile Vega as well. I think 5-1, I think is a half decent price for him, really. Yeah,
I'd be agreeing with you there. I think like I was in the Marine Nationale camp for most of the season. Since the Royal Bond, I thought it was a really good piece of form, especially when Champ Kiley and Irish Point went out and franked that in the Lawlers. I suppose, look, Irish Point ran a pretty poor race then in the Dublin Racing Festival, just couldn't seem to go that gallop at all. Looking like he's a 2.5 miler as well then. Look, Champ Kiley probably wasn't used to best effect in the Royal Bond, but I thought you could mark up Marine Nationale's performance that day. Like, didn't jump the last well and still got up, and I think he'd have won by a lot further if he did meet it on a good stride and jump it cleanly. Yeah, I'd agree with you say on Facile Vega, it's hard to back him. Like, I don't like the way he just backed out of it. I know he went very fast, and he went too fast, but I just don't like the way he backed out of the race. I don't like seeing horses do that.
He emptied very quickly, didn't he? I mean, don't get me wrong, if you sat on an anti-post bet at 20-1 or whatever it was from last season, you've still got a good price. So you still sat there quite happily. And just touching on the Marine Nationale with the Royal Bond as well, I take your point. I think it's a really weird bit of form, really. It's hard to judge just how good it was also with the horses in behind. I think with Marine Nationale, I think he needs to take another step forward to be involved in the finish in a Supreme. I would imagine probably Elite Tomp, if he runs to the same level that he ran at the DRF, will probably be closer than what Marine Nationale is. Obviously, he will get a good pace, I would imagine, to aim at. And yeah, I mean, I'm just having a quick look at the odds now. I mean, Timurus, with the exception of Constitution Hill, I mean, the Tolworth form's never normally a great guide for the Supreme. He did add a little bit in front as well, which doesn't float me boat, which means he's obviously got to get there perfectly in time. Yeah, I think it's a shame that Impera Pass isn't running here, to be fair, but I would imagine that Hunter's Yarn is probably the reason why he's not running there, if he does run in the race. Yeah, I think. What price is Chasing Fire, Gillian? Have you got that price?
18-1. best
Yes, I
price.
think I think he's attracted a little bit of support.
Yeah,
I can see one of the UK runners actually. To be fair, maybe catching a little bit of a bit of place money, chasing fire or rare edition. I think off a strong pace would probably get involved. I've been taking a bit of stick on our podcast because I quite like rare edition. I don't think he was fully tuned up last time. I think he scored badly after the Sydney Banks. But yeah, I've also had a little wager on Diverge as well. Just on the back of Willie's comments, nothing
yeah,
to do with the form, just purely on the back of Willie's comments. I mean, his first run, the form doesn't look that strong at all, really. But I think after his second run, it was Canter winning by 25 lengths. So I have had a little bit of a nibble on him, but purely on the back of Willie's comments. That's it.
yeah. I'd agree with you on Chase and Fire. And like, look, Ollie Murphy's he's done it before. Thomas Darby and Itchy Feet came second and third in a Supreme, and yeah, like you'd imagine it's going to be another small field here. Like you can't see there being too big a field this year again, which is a bit unfortunate. Like I remember Supremes years ago, you'd have 15, 17 runners, like, and
High class as well.
they were really good and really competitive. And now I know that it's going to be a very competitive race. It's 3-1 the field, like, and there's no real standout horse. But like I just think like the bigger field races was given a truer run in the race. Like it could be a very tactical affair there. Like now I know something will probably go off and go a good gallop and everything. It being at the first race of the week, horses that get wound up at the start, they're only young horses, and that someone will go quick. But yeah, I wouldn't put off anyone on back in Chase and Fire. If I had him, I'd run Gaelic Warrior here. Like I just think you can step him up to the Ballymore and he could win it, but like his form's at 2 miles, and I'd probably chance him there. Like I don't think he's up to winning either of the races, but I think he'd have a better chance in the Supreme than the Ballymore. Strongly run Supreme might suit him a bit better. He'd be up on the pace. He's a high cruising speed. He mightn't jump too well, but like, you know, if you cover him up a small bit there, he might start to the jump into the right mightn't be as exaggerated. And yeah, look, he might have a chance, but it looks like he's going to end up in the Ballymore as opposed to here. Yeah, look, it's the trappy enough race, like High Definition, another one. Then like, who knows where he would have finished? Like, let's say he finished the race and he comes third, beating Facile Vega 10 lengths. Facile Vega's out to stupid price, and he's a complete flop.
Changes again, don't it?
Yeah, so
all
like
changes again.
it's a pity he came down, really. Like if they both finished drunk out the back, like Facile Vega did, fair enough, they went too quick. But let's say High Definition stayed going, then Facile Vega is a complete bust, really, and you couldn't touch him, which would put you on to Illit Tomp, and he'd be the one I'd be backing at the moment anyway.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. The whole point of Facile Vega just falling away in the race, it just puts you off backing him at 7-2, whatever he's 3-1. For me personally, you just can't do it. You cannot back him at that price now, based on his last run and just not knowing how tuned up he's going to be come March.
Yeah, I'd be happy enough to let him win. Like if he does come back, that's great and all, but I couldn't be having him really at those
totally.
prices after what he's done, and he doesn't look to me like something that it's going to go away that quickly. So yeah, that's the Supreme there. So we'll move on to the Ballymore then. So an English favourite here, Hermes Allen 3-1, Impera Pass 7-2, Gaelic Warrior 5s, along with Goodland, Champ Kylie 8-1, Hunter's Yarn, and in the pocket 14s, and it's 20s bar there. So Hermes Allen, he looks a fairly strong favourite. Like the shallow form was boosted there yesterday with Jamie Snowden's horse winning in Sandown. So like, that's another boost for him. I know it hasn't been the best trial in recent years, but like he looks really high class. And like at the moment, he's probably the most likely winner, I think.
Yeah, I think the thing with Hermes Allen is you just don't know how good he is because he's won so easily, and obviously the form now is he keeps getting franked, and I think probably the only little bit of form, or the only little bit of form that you can say hasn't been franked is We've All Been Caught, who got absolutely demolished in the DRF. But apart from that, yeah, like you say, obviously franked again yesterday. Yeah, it's really weird. It's really weird. I think sometimes you are a little bit reluctant to back a Paul Nicholls horse anti-post for Cheltenham. You just don't know what he's going to do. You don't know if he's going to hold one of them back for a flat track at Aintree. And I hope he doesn't, because I do think he has got a good horse here. I do think Hermes Alana is a good horse. I think he'll definitely be in the frame in the Ballymore. Do I think there's something else out there that's better? Possibly. Something like a Good Land or an Imperi Pass. Would it shock me if them two both went past him and won? No, I don't think it would. I was really impressed by Good Land at the DRF. I thought he travelled really, really well. And I just think a Ballymore will suit him perfectly. I think something like a Champ Kylie going off in front, he's obviously going to go out there and try and make the running. He'll try and win the race from the front. You can imagine Good Land just sitting in behind, travelling the way that he travels, and probably, well, what he's shown so far, being able to maintain it and kick away up the hill. I know the Nathaniel Lace is over a furlong further than what the Ballymore is, but I don't see it being an issue in coming back a furlong. So Good Land for me would be the one that I'd be aiming towards, and then probably Imperi Pass would be my next port of call. He looks a rock solid second favourite. He won comfortably last time out as well, which, I mean, he was entitled to 1-3. How he won, but I mean, he was giving weight away to the Model Kingdom. Yeah, I think he'll be in the mix as well. Will Imperi Pass. I think those three are fairly strong in this market. I can't have Gaelic Warrior. I'm really sorry, I just can't. And I know he's quite a popular horse. I just think he could end up jumping into Guinness Village at any point, jumping right. And if Gaelic Warrior does go to the Ballymore and wins, jumping right at the same time, then you might as well throw any form book in the world out the window, because he got beaten a Boodles off 129.
Yeah.
So I don't throw it up in the air with the Ballymore for me.
Yeah, look, I suppose there's a lot of comparisons between Hermes Alin and Brave Man's Game, but I think they're different enough horses. I think, like, from what they've done so far, I think Hermes Alin is a slicker jumper. Like, he was very good in Cheltenham, very good in the shallow. I think he's a slicker jumper. I think he's potentially faster than Brave Man's Game was. Like, he gets away from his hurdles very quick as well. So that's the only, like, one that I'd be sort of marking him up for, like. But yeah, like, Good Land, Barry Connell couldn't have been any more sweet on him. Like, came out the day after he won the Grade One and said he's going to win the Ballymore. Like, he's already won the Supreme.
Confidence
After what he said in the Royal Bond. So look, he's very sweet in him. Like, and look, he was there in the box seat nearly the whole way around in the DRF, and they went fairly quick, and he was able to maintain that gallop and still kick away from, I suppose it was stayers coming at him in Absolute Notions and Cool Survivor, but like, he was still able to kick away from them off a fairly strong pace, and going, as you said, going back a furlong, that'll be fine. Like, he's, as Barry Collins said, he could go back to 2 miles if he hadn't the other horse, you know. So yeah, he's another one. And then I suppose one that I like at a small bit bigger price, it'd be In the Pocket. I thought he was very good when he won in Naas on fairly testing ground. I think they probably 2 miles is just a bit quick for him. So going back up in trip now, I think he's got a good chance. So the connections, or the trainers, won the race before there a couple of years ago. He's a decent horse, and he's got Grade One form now as well. So I think he's a small bit overpriced at 14s. He might go off a bit shorter on the day, but look, I suppose it depends on Imperial Pass, Gaelic Warrior, Hunter's Yarn, all ahead of him in the betting as well. Are they going to go there? Who knows? Like, Champ Kylie will be there, all right, but aside from him, you don't know what's going to go there. But yeah, if I was picking one at the moment, I probably just go with Hermes Alin over Good Land.
Yeah, and I can see why. I mean, like I said, I think those three, Hermes Alin, Imperi Pass, and Good Land. Yeah, if you tip at any of those three, I couldn't say you were wrong, and I couldn't say that they've got any chance better than any other ones, really. Yeah, I was just having a quick look at some of the other prices. I mean, this race is going to cut up. It's going to cut up like mad, but you can just see those three at the front being there all the way. I think it's going to be those three, I think, at the front end of the market, in my opinion. I think Gaelic Warrior really is going to depend on just how high his mark is in the UK. I think that's going to be a huge player. I think, I know obviously he's already quite high as it is, but that, to me, I think will dictate where he goes. I think if they think he can get away with it, maybe going top weight in in a handicap, I think that's what they will do, in my opinion, because they've got so many good horses within these other races as well to fit in. But that'll be how I think Willie will do it.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Like, and I suppose he does have, he could end up with three in the Supreme, three in the Ballymore, and they've all got really good chances, and then just throw Gaelic Warrior into the Coral Cup then or something, you know. So that's the Ballymore. Then we move on to the Friday and the Albert Bartlett. So Embassy Gardens 6-1, Corbett's Cross, 3-card Bragg 8s, Favourite Champdu 10s with Hidden Valley Lake and Sandra Clegane, Absolute Notions and Monty Star 12s, and it's 20s bar. I suppose a key piece of form for this race was ran yesterday in Clonmel in the Shore Hall. Hidden Valley Lake giving £6 away to Monty Star. Monty Star just sort of ran him down. At the very end of that, like, it wouldn't put you off Hidden Valley Lake at all, really. Like, he's going to back off level weights. He to make the run in yesterday, I don't think he particularly enjoyed it. I suppose the better ground as well would probably suit, but one thing to note is he didn't jump too well, and he had jumped pretty well in his first 2 runs. I remember saying it after he won his maiden hurdle, that I thought he might be a horse for a Pertemps final or something, that you could, like, he ran in November, so you could have probably got the 4 runs in, and like, I thought he jumped so well you could just pitch him straight into handicap company, that wouldn't be an issue, but he seemed to take a step backwards there, jumping stakes. But look, I still think he's got a really good chance. I suppose, like, Corbett's Cross was declared and was withdrawn on the day. And then Monty Star was a big price. I actually had a couple of quid on him at 80s before the race, or the last couple of weeks since he was second to Shambally Kid in the maiden. But I suppose the 2 of those, I think they'll be pretty close thereabouts on the day. What do you think, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, Killian. This is my worst race at the festival. It really is. I think it's an absolute minefield every single year. I mean, plenty of these when they get to the festival, will be moving up in class. A lot will be moving up in trips. So there's so much unknowns to this race, and so much unknown in terms of the horses that come into it. But yeah, I mean, from the horses that we do know, just touched on some on the race of the day, you've pretty much nailed it, really, in terms of how it panned out. I wouldn't give up on Hidden Valley Lake just yet. I think if something was to take it at a bit more of a faster pace, so it can sit in behind, so it's not making its own running. Obviously, it was giving weight away as well, which we can't forget. It wasn't like it was obviously off level weights. It was giving weight away to some of the other horses. I wouldn't have been too discouraged if I'd have backed Hidden Valley Lake at Antipost. I don't think I'd be going out now to back it. Don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't be sort of sitting here going, "Oh days, I'm going to get beat here because he's finished second, whatever it was." So I think if you have backed Hidden Valley Lake at a decent price, I won't be put off just yet. Embassy Gardens, I mean, look, it looked visually impressive. Obviously, when it got stepped up to 2 mile 7, but I don't know, that the race seemed to fall apart quite a bit for me. Did that race, and I think, truth be told, if a William Mullins horse wins a Novice Hurdle by 35 lengths and it's still sat at 6-1, 13-2, that tells me its own story. Because generally speaking, a William Mullins hot pot that comes out and wins by that much, that's really fancied for a race, he's absolutely just bombarded it to about 2s and 9-4s and stuff like that. So Embassy Gardens doesn't really float my boat that much. The horse that I really like is 3-card Bragg. He'd be one of those horses who I think I'd be happy to take a punt on, who would appreciate the step up in trip. I think he beat Spanish Harlem last time quite comfortably. They were a distance clear of the rest. I know probably Spanish Harlem may have been running for a mark and things like that, but he put them to the sword quite easily. The other one as well to look at, I think, is, and again, I apologise for my French, is Bavra de Champdu. I think he's a decent price that could be a good each way play as well in this race.
Yeah, look, as you said it there, it's a total minefield, and like it's going to probably bet 4-1 the field on the day, I'd say, if not 5-1. So like whatever you're backing, you'll be able to back it each way anyway, and you probably get 4 places. It's generally a race that has 16 runners, so you probably get 4 places off someone. Yeah, look, I wouldn't be nailing my colours to any of them at the moment, but Yeah, I think Hidden Valley Lakes came out to a fairly nice price now. Like, I wouldn't have been backing him at sixes or 5 to 1 or whatever he was, but I think at tens he represents a small bit of value. Like, I think looking at the rest of them, like Absolute Notions, as talks he might go to a handicap. And
Like a
then
Martin Pipe or something like
yeah,
that. Possibly, I
something
think.
like that. Yeah. So like looking down then as well, like you've American Mike at 25s, Dawn Rising maybe might be one. Like looks a real stare. Like Shambally Kid, who beat Monty Star in a maiden, hasn't ran since he's 25s. Like, you'd imagine he'll step forward for that run as well. So like he might be a small bit overpriced there too. But yeah, look, it's a little bet five, probably 5 to 1 the field in the day. So like I wouldn't be backing Athen really yet at the moment.
No, 100%. I mean, I've got to give a shout out to Bo, who comes on our podcast as well, because he tipped up Monty Star at 66 the other week. I think with stuff like the Albert Bartlett, if you sat on a horse at 25 plus early doors and, you've had a punt on it, obviously by all means it's great, and just sit on it. A bit like what you're saying there, I wouldn't be touching this race really until the day, because there's also going to be the knock-on effect with the Ballymore in terms of what's going to be going up for the Ballymore and what's going to be dropping down. Albert Bartlett's sort of like, it's like the last race that people look at, if that makes sense, because they'll work out what's going to go supreme, then what's going to fall into Ballymore, and then what's going to be the drop out of that and go into the Albert Bartlett. So for me, the Albert Bartlett, I would always hold out at this point now and until the day. You've also got as well, you might have some horses that might be declared for both right up until the week before.
Yeah.
And so look at the forecast, look to see what's happening as well. So just be mindful that if you are considering playing your card before the festival, it's always worth just seeing what horses are sat in both races up until the week before when the weather forecast comes out and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, and even there as well for the handicaps with likes of maybe a 3-card Bragg or Absolute Notions, like there's talks that both either of those could be running handicaps. So like you need to look at the handicap entries as well and see if they're entered in a handicap. I wouldn't go back on them for the Bartlett right away, you know. So that's the Bartlett. Then we'll move on to the we're grouping it in with the novice hurdles, and not really a novice hurdle, I suppose. The Triumph, it's the bet 7-4 Lossiemouth, 3-1 Blood Destiny, Garla Marceau 5s, Comfort Zone 10s, Scriptwriter 16s, and it's 25s bar those then. So I suppose look, it looks nearly a 3-horse race on the face of it, with Willie's 3 at the top of the market. And yeah, I don't know, like Lossiemouth, they all said she's had a really hard race. Willie said it, he was quite critical of Paul after the race for the ride he gave her, and like, you know, she's a filly as well. She's only 4, obviously, so like it could take taken a lot out of her. And just on the back of that, I wouldn't be jumping into back her at 7-4. She probably is the most talented horse in the race, but like we've yet to see her sort of run a race at a really strong gallop. And that was sort of my criticism of her all season, that she won in Fairyhouse and she won in Leopardstown. They crawled both days. Like Gala Marceau, who's second at Leopardstown at Christmas, like they went so slow, she was just fighting the jockey all the way around. And like there, the last day they went slow again. Gala Marceau was still keen, but this time Gala Marceau managed to win, and she improved for that. So look, I wouldn't be getting stuck into Lossiemouth at 7-4 just because of that. But what do you reckon, Craig?
Looking at it at this moment in time now, if all these were to run that are in the betting, for me, I think it's a 3-horse race. I think it'll be a Willie Mullins 1, 2, 3. And exactly like you just said there, Killian, I think a lot of it will depend on how each of them have come out of the race physically, especially Lossiemouth and Garlamar. So Lossiemouth at the weights, I do think is the best horse of the 3. However, again, without sounding like a broken record, obviously what you just said there, I won't be going out to rush to back her at 7-4. I won't be putting any multiple at 7-4 either. Juveniles obviously can be highly susceptible to being looked after, even more so if they're a mare as well. Sorry, a filly, sorry, she is, sorry, at the point in time. So this race, I think, does come down to how all these 3 are race fit come March. I think if Lossiemouth, if anything happens to her, she doesn't run, I would then probably be starting with Blood Destiny over Gala Marceau. I think Blood Destiny's victory last time was a little bit underrated on the back of everyone just assuming the horses in behind were looking for a Boodles rating. That was it. No one actually spoke about Blood Destinies when it was all about what was trying to get a mark in behind, which I thought was a little bit disrespectful, because I mean Paul Townend went off absolutely like a scalded cat, and I actually thought some of the horses in behind thought that he would eventually come back a little bit, and he did, but he was just getting the breathing to the horse, filling the lungs, and it went again. So I think Blood Destiny is a good horse, and at the prices, if that was how it's set up on the day, I think I'd be heading more towards Blood Destiny than the other two. I thought Ballymore won the race in a run right at the DRF. I know Lost Enough got shuffled back a little bit, but I mean, Lost Enough had open space coming on the bottom end, and she had the whole straight try and get at her. And to be fair, she didn't really bridge the gap that much, if I'm honest with you. I don't think so anyway. I thought if she'd have been good enough, she probably could have got a bit closer. Now, the one horse possibly to take away from the top three, if you wanted a different angle on the race, could possibly something like Comfort Zone at this moment in time at 10-1. And the reason why I say that is because if for whatever reason Lost Mouth does get pulled or one of the front three doesn't run, that 10-1 could very quickly become 5-1 or 6-1. Because you know Comfort Zone's going to run. It is battle hardened. It's run a few races and won some good races as well. So if you were going to have a play on this anti-post, I'd probably have I'd have a punt on Comfort Zone. Apart from that, I'd probably wait today and see what's going to turn up, I think.
Yeah, I think if I was to back at anti-post, I'd go against Comfort Zone. I'd go against the horse that he beat last time out, Scriptwriter from Milton Harris. I just thought, like, I was on Scriptwriter that day. I don't know. I think a lot went wrong for him. I think he got to the front too soon. He ended up going really wide as well. Like, and I think they'll have learned from that from the last day, and they'll potentially ride him with a bit more cover. And if he is good enough, which he probably isn't, but if he is good enough, he'll be coming late. Like, I think they produced him a bit too early the last day. I think just the quality of the race, he ended up getting to the front too soon because him and his Comfort Zone were both miles better than everything else in the race. I think that's just what happened there. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't write him off completely. And like, I'd nearly fancy him to reverse with the Comfort Zone, to be honest. But yeah, look, I think the most likely winner for me at the moment is Blood Destiny, and I think he's a decent price at 3-1. But look, once Lossiemouth runs and Gala Marceau runs, that 3-1 will be thereabouts in the day. He won't be shorter than twos anyway. That's for sure. I'd say he'd be a 3-1 shot in the day.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think if those three horses run, I can't see it changing much from that.
No,
maybe he might get a little bit of spot. He might get a little bit of spot for Gala Marceau, maybe, but
yeah,
you couldn't have lost him off any shorter than that based on what happened last time. If you just turn up, and yeah, it could stay like that. To be fair, if all three of them turn up.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Like, and like it's looking like one that it could be a fairly small field too. Like, a lot of the horses that are interested in it could potentially be Boodles bound towards the bottom there. MacTeague, Zandabad, Takeo there for JP as well. Like, so there's a good few of them there, like, that probably will end up in the Boodles. Like, so you might only have 10 or 11 runners here, which would be a fairly small field for the Triumph. I remember Triumphs years ago had 20 runners, like, you know, so it was, and they were very competitive races. But looking at the top three, it is a competitive race, and it's going to be a good race as well. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, and just touching obviously on the Scriptwriter and Comfort Zone angle as well. They do have course form as well.
Yeah,
which it is a big thing for Cheltenham because it is such an undulating track. It's such a different track than any other. The course form really shouldn't ever be taken for granted, because at least you know the horses perform on the track.
Yeah, no, for definite. And yeah, I think they will have learned a bit from the way they rode Scriptwriter the last day. So I'd expect, I don't know, I wouldn't rule him out from hitting the frame completely. Yeah, so that's sort of the look at those four races. Craig, I'll put you on the spot. Give us the best bet for your most confident bet of those four races we've looked at.
If I was to put my most confident based on what I've seen so far, I really like Good Land for the Ballymore. The DRF performance really impressed me, and the way that he runs, the way that he travels, I think it sets him up perfectly for a Ballymore. The fact that he's obviously gone a little bit further than the Ballymore trip suggests that the stiff finish will suit him. And like I said when we were discussing the race, I think it will be set up for him just to be tucked in a little pocket in behind, and then come round bottom bend and just open him up, and hopefully he can get away from them.
Yeah, and I'm going to go for one the Supreme. Then I'm going to go for Ilite Tomps. I just think that the lot made of Facile Vega bombing the last day, and he mightn't have got the credit he deserved. He might just be coming in a small bit under the radar. Couple of question marks about the Marine National form then, and him coming off a break. So I'm going to go with Ilite Tomps there. So yeah, that's sort of the look at those 4 races. Thanks again to Craig for the second attempt at coming on. Hopefully we get this one. I think it's definitely recorded this time, so we should be all good there.
No, thanks for inviting us on, mate. It's appreciated. Like I say, we'll certainly return the favour. So obviously your followers can listen to us and vice versa.
Absolutely, yeah. And just for anyone that isn't familiar with Rein It In, they do a very good podcast there on SoundCloud. So you get them there on their Twitter page. All right. Until next time, thanks a lot. Best of luck. Bye.
Cheers, guys.
Vauban finds more now and kicks away and up the hill. Vauban wins the JCB Triumph Hurdle.
Round the home turn, Davy Russell decides to send presenting Percy on now. It's a beautiful straight 11 victories for Honeysuckle. She is the winner of the Unibet Champion Hurdle.
Heaven help us, runs riot to win the Coral Cup.
Manella Indo is all out, flat out, but he wins the Gold Cup.